The first time we meet Lee as the main character in The Walking Dead, he is handcuffed. This serves as a great metaphor for Lee being handcuffed to me as the game player throughout the 5 episodes. He must follow through the actions and speak the words that I ask him to do and say throughout the game, so he is, in a sense, chained to me. Because the very first scene in the game presents this image, I am immediately aware of my power as the decision maker. This means that I have a lot of responsibility, and as I learn, this also means that I will carry a lot of guilt. The images in this video represent the moments in the game that stung me the most. There are moments in the game when I had to turn down the volume, look away from the screen, or moments that made me tear up. The moments that caused me to react emotionally, either with fear, guilt, or sadness, were moments that made me aware of my power as it was affecting the virtual lives of the players. I could describe all of the moments when I was in control and I made a decision that I later regretted, or that I didn't like even though I felt like my choice was justified. But I would rather talk about the moments when I was out of control, when my power as the game player was interrupted in a way that changed my course of action. The first interruption in the game that I experienced was when I was faced with the option to kill Jolene while spying on the camp near the dairy farm. I was confused by this scene and felt like the game wanted me to kill her. I thought that my character was meant to do this or be killed himself, as he might be in any other challenge in the game. At first, I tried to reason with her, but when she threatened to kill Lee, I went ahead and shot her. Danny reacted in disgust and quickly scolded Lee for killing her, which made me feel terribly guilty. The violence, it seems, was unnecessary. Jolene was the first person I've ever killed in a video game. So I felt cruel as I walked back to the dairy farm with Danny, and it ultimately influenced me to not kill any other characters in the game when I had the opportunity. I didn't kill Danny or Andy, Ben, Clementine's kidnapper, or any other character when prompted with the choice. I realized that being cruel made other characters make ethical judgments about Lee that I didn't want to deal with. Until I did. My favorite character in this game was Carly, who was a loyal supporter of Lee, a fair person, and a smart woman. When Lily shot her in close range out of anger, I immediately chose to leave Lily behind without even hesitating to decide. She is the only other character that I killed in the game, although it wasn't intentional, after Jolene, a point that Clementine's kidnapper reminded me of at the end of the game. He insisted that I had left a mourning woman to die on the side of the road, a charge that supposedly presented Lee as a monster. However, I felt as if leaving Lily behind was the best way to maintain peace within the group. The act of murder made Lily untrustworthy, and I felt that the group would be better off without having to watch their backs or tiptoe around her constant outbursts. Honestly, I just didn't like her as a character, and I didn't care to leave her behind. This act was a moment when I complicated my original thoughts about what it meant to protect Clementine. Perhaps the best way to protect Clementine in this scenario was to provide her with a more stable and safe environment, one that did not include Lily. A final moment that interrupted my progression through the game was when I stumbled upon the cancer survivor group and heard their stories. When Lee tries to convince Vernon to show him the way back to the mansion using the sewer system, he is offered a choice. He can ask Vernon to come to help save a young girl named Clementine, or he can lie and claim that he has supplies that might help to treat the cancer survivors. As I played through, I accidentally hit the second option, lying, without realizing what I'd done at first. I was so horrified by the idea of providing cancer survivors with false hope of treatment and medicine that I restarted that level in the game, which meant that I lost time, but I was able to reverse my decision. The second time around, I was honest with the survivors. This backtracking required extra work on my part, but I was too horrified by the thought of misleading the cancer survivors about their hope for treatment to let the game continue on in that way. Ultimately, these decisions did not affect the game very much overall. These were not my most difficult decisions, and they weren't even the most pivotal moments, such as Katja's suicide, Clementine's final goodbye to Lee, or Lee's goodbye to Kenny. Not to mention the creepy and horrific Crawford School, where survival of the fittest is the ruling ethical principle, which is to say, there is not one. But these were moments when I realized the extent to which I was becoming emotionally invested and personally attached to the situations and characters involved. In these moments, the game disappeared to some extent, and my Deus Ex Machina hand acted in the game with less awareness and more emotion. These moments of interruption were disturbing at times, and they sometimes cost me time or progress in the game. But these were also the moments when I was able to stop playing the game to some extent and let the game play me.